Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jason Knight, and each week on the podcast I'll be speaking to some of the finest minds in tech and product, hearing their stories and trying to get some great advice for me and for all of the rest of us. On tonight's episode, we'll be moving away from product leadership and talking about getting started in product management. Why choose product in the first place? Where do you go to get entry-level advice? Why is it so important to share your experience with others? For answers to all these questions and more, please join us on One Night in Product. So, my guest tonight is Becca Vibert, featured product school speaker, former educator, now a product manager at Fiit. Also busily blogging in her spare time to document the career journey of a new product manager. Hi Becca, how are you doing tonight?
Hello, I'm good, thanks, Jason. How are you? I loved that introduction, by the way.
I do my best. So first things first, who are Fiit? And first of all, am I saying Fiit correctly? Because it's got two I's in it, so I'm trying to work out if it's Fit or Fiit. So who are Fiit and what problem do they solve?
Okay, great. So Fiit, you are pronouncing it correct. So it is Fiit, but you do pronounce it Fiit. So Fiit is a fitness startup. So we're a mobile app, and the problem that we solve is we help people exercise from home. So you can do workouts from your mobile phone or do them on your laptop or even on the TV, hopefully soon. And we just help make exercise a habit for everybody. You know, particularly in lockdown, it's been really hard to be able to go to the gym to do exercise. And we found that we've been able to be a solution for a lot of gym goers in this period. So yeah, so that's Fiit.
So that sounds like, as you say, something that's going to be really useful in the current times. Obviously, everyone locked down. I mean, I'm not sure if gyms are still open at the moment, but obviously we had a long period of time where they weren't. So did you get like quite a lot more signups? Has that been quite a growth opportunity for the company?
Yeah, it's been an amazing few months actually. And I know that a lot of companies, you know, haven't been able to say that, but for Fiit, it's been a really great opportunity for customers to be able to try our product and, you know, just be able to make sure that during this period, people are exercising and staying as healthy as they can. So yeah, Fiit has been able to see quite a few people sign up in the last kind of 6 months.
Cool. And how long have you been at Fiit?
So I am still actually very new to Fiit. I've been at the company for 6 months, and I actually joined, my first week at Fiit was actually the week that we went into lockdown. So it's actually been a roller coaster, as you can imagine.
Right. And so obviously you're a product manager there. I mean, what does the product team look like there? Is it just you and like a product lead, or are you the product lead? How does that shake out?
Yeah, so still a fairly small product team. So we've got about 4 product managers at the moment on the team, and we look after different areas. So for the last 6 months, I've been focused primarily on the mobile app. So looking at different features within that and different journeys, different problems we want to tackle. But there are a lot of exciting other things happening, which other product managers are focused on as well. And, you know, hopefully over the next kind of 6 months to a year, all of that's going to become a reality for a lot of our users.
Did you have any experience in mobile apps before this? Because I know that you're still relatively early on in your product career, but I think you've worked at least one other product job before this one.
Yeah.
Is mobile like a specialty of yours, or was that something that you had to pick up when you moved into Fiit?
Yeah, no, definitely not. So I didn't work in mobile apps before, and that was actually, you know, when I was thinking about my most recent career change, I was thinking about, right, what kind of product do I want to work on next? And obviously the first thing that I thought about was, you know, what company is solving a problem that I'm really passionate about. But the second thing is that I was really keen to kind of sink my teeth into working on a mobile app. So that's actually been quite a big learning curve, actually, for me. I'd always worked in e-commerce, so kind of website-based product management, and I moved into the mobile app world in the last 6 months. And it's been really interesting to work on it.
And have there been any challenges sort of moving into that mobile space that you weren't expecting, or have you kind of taken to that pretty easily?
I think it's been okay. I think the challenges are more so related to me still being at the early stages of my product career. So I've been in product management just under 2 years now, and really feel like in the last 6 months where I've really been able to learn what product management is all about. And yeah, I think that's the biggest learning curve rather than actually going from website to an app.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit more in a minute about some of your more extracurricular activities around kind of blogging and talking about your product journey. But before we talk about that, before you went into product, you were working as a founder as an education startup in Hong Kong, teaching English language to the local students over there. So how did you move from being the founder of an educational startup and obviously kind of starting your own thing and then moving on to being more into product management for other people? What was that journey like?
So it's been actually a really interesting journey. And I've been really open actually when I've been asked this question before. And the reality is when I moved out to Hong Kong, so I'm originally from Jersey, the Channel Islands. When I moved out to Hong Kong, I had no idea that I was going to start my own business. I definitely had no idea that I was going to become a product manager in, 2 years from there. The transition has been quite smooth. So after having started my own tutoring business in Hong Kong, when we decided to move back to London, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was passionate about education, so I looked for roles within that space, and I eventually found a project management role for an education startup. So that was really my kind of first exposure to the product development process. Obviously, I wasn't fully involved with it because I was just kind of managing timelines and working with key stakeholders in that respect. But that's where I learned about the existence, if you like, of product management. And then as I kind of, just started doing a bit more digging, started really thinking about what are the things that about my current role, which I liked, and other aspects which I didn't feel challenged enough about. So, it was great that I was managing timelines and working with lots of different teams, but I wanted to be involved in why were we suddenly thinking about this new product line and what are customers saying about it? And it was really from there that I started questioning my role. And then I spoke to my manager at the time, and she was the one that actually said, hey, there's this thing called product management. You should, just look into it and see if that's something that interests you.
So your career so far has been either in your own startups or in and around other small startups. Do you enjoy working for sort of startups and kind of startup culture? Have you ever thought of maybe going somewhere bigger?
Yeah, I have definitely always worked in startups and I absolutely love it. So I love, the autonomy that you get and the impact that you can drive. So I am still fairly new in my product management career. So I've been, officially in product management for about 2 years now. And I feel like the experience that I've gained working from these startups has just been, incredible. So I know that it's not for everyone working in a startup. It can be very fast paced and you're thrown in the deep end very, often. But for me, it's been, a tremendous learning experience. I've learned so much in just 6 months at Fiit, for example. And yes, startup culture is just, it is great for me. Like I find it challenging. I find that I get a lot of responsibility, and I get to see the impact of what we're building, so clearly.
No, that's excellent. And yeah, certainly from my perspective, I spent many years working for sort of large corporates before moving into my current role, which is in a much sort of smaller, more energetic early stage company. And I definitely agree that energy is in some ways almost tangible in a way that you just don't get in bigger companies. And yeah, I definitely think you have to be okay with that. You have to love it. But if you do, then I don't think there's anything like it. So you've been keenly blogging on medium.com, talking about some of your learnings as you progress through your fledgling product management career. Now, I know we've spoken about this a bit already, but why do you think it's so important to kind of document this stuff for other people?
So I only started writing this year, actually. And one of the main drivers for that is that I really wanted, because I'm in such a pivotal point in my career where I'm finally so involved in product development and learning so much as I go. I really wanted a way to document it, but also I really wanted a way to share it with other people that might be experiencing that. When I look at Medium blogs, written up about certain topics, or if I watch certain webinars, I always tend to see really experienced product people, and that's amazing, obviously. And I think it's really important that they share their insights. But I really want to ensure that there are early stage product managers out there that know that these challenges which they're facing, when they're shipping a product for the first time, or when they're working with their own engineers for the first time, all those challenges that they're experiencing, it's completely normal. And it's just a really important thing to remember, that it's part of the learning curve. And that's really my main driver for wanting to write, and just create a bit more visibility around people that are at the kind of first 2 to 3 years of their product management career, and they're kind of learning everything, and failing and learning, growing. And that's really the driver behind starting to write, and most recently hosting a webinar on Product School.
The question that follows from that is, you're saying obviously that you're starting out down your kind of product management path, and long may it continue, but that you maybe didn't have some of that kind of almost inspiration from other people that you're now trying to provide. So what did you do to kind of inspire yourself, or to try and read around it yourself? Were there any resources that were useful, or was it really just everyone talking about like how they'd scaled a company to 1 billion monthly active users, and that was all you had to look at?
Yeah, I think the first couple of things which I did when I was starting to break into product management was actually speak to product managers, in my network. So, I would do the classic connect with people on LinkedIn who are product managers at companies with products that I really admire, and just got coffee with them and started talking to them about their experiences and asking them for advice. There were a couple of, blog posts which I would read, but all the questions which I had at the beginning, were things like, how do I break into product management when, it's something that I'm curious about, but I haven't got any experience on. And that was actually much harder to find. And it felt quite removed. So, I spoke to one product manager who actually studied product management, and that was the beginning of their journey. And I, spoke to another product manager who was at Facebook first and came from an engineering background. I really failed to find people like me who had, a background in education, had done their own thing in Hong Kong, and was clearly driven, but hadn't made a successful transition into product management, which was vastly different to what I was previously doing. And that's kind of the driver. I think one of the first articles I did was how I became a product manager, where I just lay bare, I was an English tutor before, and here I am, I'm a product manager at a fitness startup. It's not been an easy journey, but it's a journey which I've made, and it's possible. So I want to share that positive message with other people who, are curious about breaking into product management, and maybe just feeling a little bit, frustrated that they haven't been able to make that transition yet.
So yeah, it sounds a bit like the kind of educator in you is coming through there, and like trying to kind of pay it forward and let other people learn from what you've had to go through. So I mean, that's obviously really positive, and actually one of the main inspirations behind this podcast was to start to hear, effectively, for want of a better word, more normal people's stories, because you said, there's so many, or there's so much content out there about like how someone was a product manager for Facebook, or the head of product for this, or that, and those are really valuable stories, like you say. But at the same time, that it's difficult to be directly inspired, tactically inspired, I guess, by someone who's so far ahead of you. So I guess I can completely understand that. So you spoke for one of your articles to 100 product managers about product management.
Yeah.
What were some of the key takeaways that you got from those 100 product managers?
So I'm trying to remember, actually. You put me on the spot a little bit there. So I think, I guess the main reason, firstly, why I wanted to conduct that survey was, I had spoken to a lot of product managers, over coffee and things like that. And I just really wanted to kind of put a survey out there and see if the stories which I heard matched up to, the numbers which I gathered. So I set out primarily to understand a bit more about how the role changes as you progress. So again, I'm still early in my career and I really want to understand how the role changes. And one of the interesting things I found was, as you kind of move up the ladder, you tend to focus more on stakeholder management and the strategy side of things. And the thing, I guess, which is still not that clear to me is when that moment actually happens. So it seems that, people can have 2 years experience, but still be, if they're in a startup, be involved in those kind of more important strategic decisions versus someone who might be a bit younger and only focused, not younger, sorry, more early on in their career and just focused on conducting user interviews, for example. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting distinction, and I don't think I 100% know myself like where the cutover happens, and I think it probably is more of a continuum than like an explicit cut. But yeah, there's kind of the change in focus from kind of product delivery to kind of product strategy. So not just sort of turning the handle and pushing features through, which is obviously important, and all good products are made up of features, but at the same time, starting to have, I mean, from my perspective, I think one of my few Medium articles that I put together was about like how you kind of need balance in a product management career. So not just being all about delivery, or not just all being about like technology, or not just being all about UX and so forth, because product management is a discipline that really kind of rewards all rounders. I guess from my perspective, that's when you start to become a fully rounded sort of product manager or strategic product manager or product leader, is when you can really get that balance right. But where do you think you are in?
For sure.
But where do you think you are in your journey? Like you're 2 years in. I mean, how do you see kind of the next steps for you?
So the last year has been a big learning curve, actually, because finally I am working with a in-house, dev team, and I've got a full product squad. And that was actually the first time that that's happened to me. So before, when I worked at Birchbox, which is an e-commerce company, I worked with a remote dev team, and that didn't really ever feel like a fully fledged product team. I didn't have a designer on hand on my squad as well. So I've definitely started to feel what it's like to have like an empowered product team and to run product development, as I read in articles and books, basically. And yeah, where am I in my journey? So I'm definitely just soaking it in and getting lots of hands-on experience in the product management field right now. I am the sort of person that I like to take ownership as soon as possible. So I'm working on some projects which are pretty meaty, actually. And, there's hopefully going to be a great return on them. But I'm learning a lot. And I still have a lot to learn. It's the first time, like I said, that I'm working with my own squad, seeing a product right from, this is a business problem, these are the customers that I'm going to speak to, right through to actually shipping or working with a team to ship a solution. I'm doing all of that for the first time, this year. So, and that's a really honest thing to say, but I think it's actually quite surprising the number of product people that you speak to who, when they feel comfortable, they will say, I've been officially a product manager for X many years, but actually end-to-end product development I've done for much less time than that. I don't know if that's been your experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I kind of organically went into product management kind of almost by default. Like not to kind of demean my own journey, but like I started out so in more sort of technical operations, moving into sort of development and full stack development, and then moving more into kind of product management, and really a lot of that happened organically, and I kind of in many ways already become, for want of a better word, kind of a leader, or certainly a team leader, before any of that happened. So it kind of almost then took a step back to take a step forward. But the thing that really grabbed me, even when I was still sort of hard at work on actual code and bits and bytes, was because I was in a position of team leadership or kind of department leadership in different parts of my career. You always had to have a view on what the actual problem was and what the outcomes of what you're developing are. And it kind of naturally just that naturally became a thing that just became more and more of my world. And I kind of almost then accidentally became a product manager in the first place, and then obviously then followed that through and into my career after that. So I think that product management in many ways feels like a career full of accidental product managers. There's actually even a LinkedIn group called the Accidental Product Manager, where people just kind of
Oh, really?
yeah, it's got quite a few people on it, and I don't think that that's a like a pejorative term either. It's actually kind of good, because I think that again, product management is a field or a discipline that really rewards all rounders and people with diverse experiences, or it should. So like every single different diverse opinion or different background that you get into a team is going to give you a different angle on a problem. So I think that it's good for people to kind of, as with me, kind of blunder into it to some extent, because it means that I've come in with a different experience, for example, to you, and different experiences to other people on my team, and you probably don't really find two product managers that are the same, which is good.
Yeah, it's something which I think is really important to stress, actually. So when I did my talk for product school, it's one of the things that I really wanted to emphasize was we all break into product management from very different backgrounds, and that should be something that we look at very positively. So just because you haven't come from an engineering background, you will have so many unique skills that you bring to that product team. It's really not something that we should overlook. Of course, diversity is really important, and particularly for me, I haven't been around lots of different product managers. I've been around some technical now, and some which are have more similar backgrounds to me. But as a team of product managers, it works so well. And so that's why I really want to stress for people who are, thinking that, maybe I don't have a great background to be able to break into product management. You will have skills which will be so valuable to the wider team as you kind of craft the product and become a product manager.
Yeah, exactly. That's obviously a really inspiring message to take forward, obviously, as well, which I think is one of the great things about what you're doing with the articles, and also the product school as well, which I know you recently gave a talk at or for. How did that go?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Honestly, it was a similar reason for wanting to do it. So on LinkedIn, I have recently received lots of messages from people trying to break into product management. And I just wanted one way to be able to address those questions that people had, and those, worries that people had about breaking into product management. And I contacted Product School, and they really enjoyed the story that I put forward, and they said that they'd be really excited to host a webinar with me. So that was the main driver. I just wanted to be able to reach as many people as possible. And I want to continue to do things like that. This podcast is a great example. I'm so excited to be able to speak about how to break into product management, the wider product conversation, just as someone who's still really in the middle of that journey.
Yeah, it's almost like you're reporting from the front line, like you got in the news, which is definitely, again, it's such a valuable perspective as well that you can give, because there are always people coming behind you. So I don't know, I've been on the Product School Slack channel from time to time, just to kind of, again, try and, help out where I can. And there are so many people on there, of course, that are just like, they have no idea what to do, because of course they didn't do it yet. And I'm sure that Product School themselves will do as best they can with their certifications and training courses and stuff like that. But just to have kind of effectively not just multi-billion-dollar startup founder who's like also a product person who manages to come onto a podcast or do a webinar and tell you about all the great things they did. Those are fantastically aspirational people to look at. But you also need to find you need someone in your boat that you can.
Of course, yeah.
Maybe if we think of like Titanic or something, you're in steerage with Leonardo DiCaprio, and you need to look up at the people on the floor above and say, okay, well that's my next step. My next step can't be, or probably won't be, going to take this company to a multi-billion-dollar IPO or anything like that. But at the very least, I can make incremental progress in traditional product fashion and say, well, yeah, the next person, the person ahead of me in my career, this is what they're saying, and this is how that resonates with me because they were me just now, sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So you said obviously before that you're from Jersey originally, and I believe you're in Jersey now through the pandemic. But you also lived in quite a few countries. Whilst we're not traveling anymore, sadly, very much at least, from when we could travel, what place was the most exciting or the best experience for you?
I mean, Hong Kong was a really incredible experience. So just to give your listeners a bit of background, so I'm from Jersey, the Channel Islands. My dad is originally from Hong Kong, but I never visited Hong Kong before actually moving there, just packing up my life and just saying, right, I'm actually going to move to this place that I've heard great things about, but I've actually never been there, even though I am, half Chinese. And it was just a really interesting experience. The work culture is very different. The opportunity as well to travel to so many Asian countries from there was great because I didn't get to do that much when I was younger. So it was a fantastic experience.
Excellent. And I guess hopefully one day you get to go back there again. So there's a question that I like to ask all product managers, which is what I call the barbecue question.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know if you can anticipate the question already, but basically, if you were to bump into someone at a barbecue at a safe distance, how would you describe product management to someone that you just met and didn't know what it was?
So, do you know what? I've really thought about this a lot because when I try to explain to my own family what I do, it's really hard. So I take the classic approach where I ask people what their favorite app is. So what app are they always on? And then, after they tell me that, I say it's my job to figure out, how to make that experience better for you. And I work with a team of engineers and designers to make that a reality.
Excellent. Succinct and to the point, but also perfect. And you spoke earlier about asking people about their favorite products. What's your favorite product?
Oh, that is a great question. What's my favorite product at the moment? I've started recently using Calm, the Calm app, and I'm really loving it at the moment. I actually used Headspace and Calm at the same time I started the free trial, and I actually went for Calm. And I don't know how controversial that is. I don't know if many other people have been using meditation apps at the moment, but Calm was the one that did it for me, and I'm listening in every day to about 5-10 minutes of mindfulness.
Nice. Yeah, I tried Headspace a few years back. I think the company I was working for at the time had a kind of free trial or something. I found it was actually, for me, I was pretty sort of skeptical about it up front, in that typical kind of almost like wannabe alpha male kind of, I don't need that. But actually it was actually a really positive experience. But yeah, I kind of didn't follow up with it after the free trial ran out. I do from time to time listen to like meditation videos on YouTube for like a couple of minutes or something just to try something. Because I think that, I don't know about you, and I think you touched on it earlier, like it's been a busy time for you. It's definitely been a busy time for me with over the last few months and some of the stuff that's been going on. So, and especially with the lockdown as well, where you've got like in many ways no kind of work-life split necessarily. Just having any way to kind of recenter from time to time seems like a good thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised, if Calm are having that same kind of growth, even Headspace as well. And I'd be really interested to know how that's looking from a data perspective, because for me, I've, like you said, because of this new working arrangement, and I tend to be online a lot more than I usually would and not taking breaks when I usually would. And that's kind of steered me towards trying to find those, precious moments where I can just recenter. And, I wonder if that's a long-term thing. I don't know, I'm still exploring it myself.
I'll see if we can find a product manager from Calm to come and talk to me as well, and they can give us the down low. What is an example for you of a product that really sucks?
Oh.
And you don't have to answer if you want to be diplomatic.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of one that sucks off the top of my head, but I think ones which are not intuitive really just drive me nuts. I guess for me, it's just all about if a product solves a problem that I have, and if it doesn't, I just, I don't have any commitment to it because I just don't know what the value is.
And who is your business hero?
My business hero. I recently read Nike's founder's autobiography. Have you read it?
Yeah, Phil Knight. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that he's one of my heroes, but I found his story really interesting. Like as a founder, kind of navigating his way through life, and he's driven by this passion to create the best running shoes for runners out there. And he had a bumpy ride at the beginning, but he was really committed to this to that dream, I guess. And I found the story great. Not necessarily a business hero, but at the moment I am reading kind of founder autobiographies. If you have a recommendation, please send it my way.
I will definitely do that. I've been reading a few books. I'm on track for 50 this year, 50 books.
That's great.
And what advice would you give for an aspiring product manager today?
I'd probably say just get out there and just start. If product management is something that you want to pursue, start learning as much as you can, connecting with as many people as you can, and gaining experience as quickly as you can, because there's no shortcut to becoming a product manager than just, getting stuck in and learning as much as you can.
Great advice. So where can people find you, Becca? On LinkedIn, I guess they can find you. Are there any other places they can seek you out if they want to continue the conversation?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is probably the best place. So yeah, Becca Vibert is where you can find me. And I'm always happy to connect with people and sharing any advice, or if anyone wants to have a chat about products, send me a message.
Well, it's been a fantastic chat. So Thanks for coming on and sharing your thoughts. I hope that the product school and the blogging and all of the other speaking engagements that you're almost certainly going to get the work out, and that you can continue to share your journey and your findings. And obviously we'll keep in touch, and I'll be watching from the sidelines.
For sure. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
As ever, thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed the show today, I'd love it if you left a review, shared it with your friends, subscribed or followed the show on Facebook, Instagram or LinkedIn. I've also got a mailing list which will send exactly one message a week with a summary of the latest show and any other quality product content that's piqued my attention over the last week. If that sounds good, sign up at onenightinproduct.com, and that's night with a K. Thank you very much.